Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Let me take a look at the chat. Eric said first. I responded back with, "Hey, Eric." Howdy, back and forth. And thank you, Todd.
You're
Hey,
welcome.
Gordon. And just let everybody know, just like Donnie did last night, Todd is going to be basically the producer, so I can concentrate on the model, because anybody who's watched at all is going to realize when the chat is, I'm like squirrel, I will lose track of what I'm doing, checking on the chat. So we're going to give it a shot and see how it works. It worked really well for Donnie, I think, last night.
Yep, Gordon's here. He says hello, Buck.
Hey, Gordon, welcome. And I saw that Eric's here. So let me do some catching up, because last time I worked on Pearl, I was working on the decks up here, doing the decks here and here. And I realized as I went a little bit further, that I had made some serious mistakes. And I actually made mistakes long time ago when I did the bottom deck, and had a bunch of guys spend, what was it? It was like 3 hours of me planking the inner wall of the bottom deck. And the mistake I made is this. There they are. Is you've got some very thin sheets like this for the outer skin of the boat, and then you've got these pieces that are laser cut to give it the thickness, and then I plank the inside here. Well, when I started to try and put those in, they didn't fit. I had the same problem on the lower decks. I actually had to sit here with a file and X-Acto and cut the holes to match the holes. Cut the holes in these pieces to match the holes on the outside. Evening, Mark. 11:30, and I know I do want to apologize to the guys over in the UK. I am a little bit late tonight because I didn't have an intro video, so I had to spend some time redoing the intro video. But as I was saying, these didn't line up, and I wasn't going to do that on the top deck here, because this is all going to be visible once it's done. Exactly. No mistakes, happy accidents. But no, so I went back and actually peeled these back off. You can see the glue residue on here. And I peeled them off. I sanded them down. Peeled this one off, because this one here is thicker than this one over here is. And it's from a knockoff. It's a Chinese kit, and this is from a Chinese knockoff of this kit that you can get, or you could get at the time on eBay for $25. And I wrote to him, and I'm like, dude, you are missing so much from this kit. It is not what I paid for. And so ended up getting my money back. He didn't want the kit back. So I have actual spare parts. They're just a little bit different thickness. I had knocked off the corner back here on this one. And so I've replaced that, peeled this one off, was going to peel this one off, decided not to. I was actually starting to peel this one off when I did some pretty, and did something just fall out of the ship? Oh, no, it was that piece of wood. Okay. But you can see where that 15 is. That's not supposed to be an opening. So, but it's going to be planked over, so it's going to be fine. Decided I wasn't going to be able to do that because I could have taken the internal wall pieces for the lower deck and done the same thing I did up here. What I've done is, as I put this on here, I will cut down on the inner wall to where it fits as close as possible. Anybody who's watched me doing the Pearl for a while will remember the problems I had with the lower decks, but if you look at that, those actually fit really, really well. And I glued the second one on yesterday during our live stream, so go ahead and pull these off. Put a ton of glue, so I put a ton of clamps in there, and that one actually was caught on the glue down there because there was, like I said, there was a ton of glue in there.
I just got to say, Buck, that's a lot of clamps.
It is. Well, I showed you yesterday what a lot of clamps is. So I just pulled like 20-ish clamps off of there. I'll show you what Todd's talking about. None of the clamps I just pulled off are in here. I have a few clamps. And Gordon was there last night, and he said his response to that was, you can never have too many clamps.
John Paul's joining. He says hello.
Hey, John Paul, welcome. And a little bit extra glue right there. But yeah, now that the clamps are off, you can see a little bit better how well that now lines up. I do. And the sad part is every time I think, every time I see clamps for a good deal, I end up buying more. So got that. One of the things I was thinking about, because earlier, this conduit that I built, I was like, okay, it's sticking up. And I was trying to remember how I was going to get that through because there's a hole down here. Thanks, Gordon. And I remembered this is how I get that to line up to go all the way through there. The hole on the bottom is a little bit larger. But what I do is I took another styrene tube because it's really hard to guide this thing up, and I've inadvertently popped it out. But now, when I did the flooring, I popped it up. Now, it's back in where it's supposed to be. Matter of fact, I am going to double check the bottom. Yeah. And what this conduit is for, I mentioned it on my last stream, is for the wiring in the captain's cabin. It's kind of funny too. The instructions say that you should have 9 pairs of wires running out of the bottom of the boat when you get to that point. So I naturally went ahead and made 9 pairs of lights for wires for the captain's cabin. At this point, nothing is resisted yet, so I am very careful when it comes to applying power to this thing. And right now, I've got 6 lines running inside. I'm not going to mess with it tonight because next thing I've got to do is start working on this side. This side is actually probably going to be a little bit, looking at the instructions, it'll be about the same because these, on both sides, the decks run across here, but on the bottom here, the deck does not, so that you can see. Actually, that is probably the best on the stream. You can see inside there how much stuff is in there. And also in the intro video, you can see there's 32 pictures. I don't know if it showed all of them, but there's 32 pictures of the starting at the box to this point. Or not to this point. It's actually to the point where this deck was not on here. So let me find. And like I said, I'm grabbing parts from the other kit. I have more than what I need here. Okay. This is actually a good way to show you the difference. Actually, let me switch to better. It's an older camera. It's not a better camera, but it focuses better. So you can see the difference in the thickness in the wood if it focuses. This is really thin. You can see how flexible it is, and this is a little bit stiffer. This is about probably 1/64th, and this is 1/16th. For anybody who's playing along on the Where's the Route Master game, it's doing occasionally when things come through Chicago, especially when they come from overseas, they do laps in Chicago. It has left the customs area in Chicago and has been since Saturday. It's left the Chicago post office or the Chicago office that it was in. It has left there 3 times since Saturday. So now you can see here that still sticks out, but I did grind this down where it's a little bit better. And I'm going to have to do some adjustments on here. You can't see it from the angle. Actually, let me switch over to the other camera, and I might just leave it on that one. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? There it is. And sorry, guys. You know, anybody who watches my channel regularly knows I am not afraid to shift things around. Oh, come on. Focus here. Don't focus on Goofy. So you can see there's a notch here, and it fits perfect. But the problem is the wood doesn't line up. And that's another lesson I've learned. If you build a wood, this is the first major wooden boat or sailing ship. I've done a sternwheeler. When you build wooden boats, when you build the sailing ships with the frame, never said there were not, the instructions are not that good. They're in Chinese with a little bit of English. But I've kind of picked this up from Hobbies I Enjoy, Mark, who is, you know, member of HTM. What he's done, I believe, on his ships, and I've seen other modelers do it, is you do not glue the spars in, especially because these spars run all the way across from here to here. You don't glue them in until you have to, because that lets everything shift around. You know, there are some that are a single piece or two pieces, so that you have to glue them in. But if you can get away with not gluing them in, it's going to be a bit better, because I know that this piece here, all right, I don't know, I believe it is shifted up, but there's no way I'm going to be able to get that back off without destroying it. Plus, it is lined up with the inner wall here. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to work this one, and it may end up being that I cut this off a little bit. I'm not sure yet how I'm going to fix it. But this is one of the things I tell Todd. You know, I like wooden ships because you can adjust the wood a little bit easier than you can plastic. And you see, regardless of what I do, I end up with a huge gap in one spot or the other. What I may end up doing is just shaving it off here to get it to match. Let me get
Curious,
first one.
this is because I've never built a wood boat. Let me ask you, can you, because I know with real woodworking, you can usually steam wood, make it pliable. Is that a thing you can do with wooden boats?
Yeah, you actually do that with some, when I do the planks, there's gonna be a lot of that. But see, the thing is, bending it this way is easy. Bending it this way is a little bit more difficult. And I will probably end up trying to do that to get it, because what I need is for this part right here where it's bowing out, I need it actually to match up.
Gotcha.
And that's why, not this one. Is that the thick? No, that's the right one. This one, it would be almost impossible to bend it. Although, just for giggles, I haven't even tried. Watch this one fit. It still sticks way out over the front. And it's still way off. And that's the thing, is I don't think this piece is in the wrong place. I mean, it can't be, because this notch here. Other than it is probably, I don't know if you can see it on camera, there. It is probably a good 1/4 inch that it could have gone down here. Like I said, if it wasn't glued, if it weren't for the walls inside that were already glued onto it, I would try and peel it off. But, you know, you live and you learn. First thing I got to do, I got the wrong one again. And if it really came to it, I could probably just cut it off here. Cut the this thin piece off here and do something to build up.
A backing for the planking, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
See, it's a backing to the planking, but behind it are these pieces.
I got you.
And see, on the other side, I mean, you can see right here, this is probably shifted a little bit. I had to sand it down pretty seriously over there. If I sand a notch into this spot, it should be okay. And I looked to see, because I kept looking at these and going, okay, when is the wall go in here that's going to make it a little bit easier? There's no wall that goes in here. These stick out so that the stairs have somewhere to hit. There's my nice little file. I'm actually splitting the wood, I think. I'm going to, actually, not going to switch. I'm just going to move this camera back a little bit. Yeah. I don't want to go up because I don't want to break the planks. I don't want to go down because I'm separating the wood on the floor. I know I've got one there. Let's try it this way. I sanded on the other side because it was a little bit less. If it comes down to it, I'll have to get some putty and fix it. That should now. It's close. Try going this way instead, so I'm not stressing that. You guys can't see it, but while I'm sanding up, it's pulling the plank up. And I just tore the blank off, so I'm gonna have to redo that anyway. And it's kind of funny, kind of embarrassing. This had been a shelf queen long enough that when I brought it down, there was actually spider webs inside of here.
That just makes it more authentic.
Yep. By the way, I know some of you have seen it. Some of you may not have seen it. That one of the things I like to use, yeah, I'm going to have to sand that down too. One of the things I like to use for the planking is this stuff, rather than the white glue. And it's actually pretty impressive how well that stuff sticks down the planks. Because it takes a little bit of effort to get them back off. I discovered this between Friday and Sunday. That what helps, because these are a little bit, these end up being a little bit too tall for where you need them. It's because the thickness of the planking is actually enough to raise the parts. Where's my flat blade? Oh, broke a blade over the weekend while I was cutting on something. While I was working on the Enterprise, actually. The pink Enterprise. I think I just got that one peeled up a little bit. And what I'll do is once I get the planking off, if it's still too tall, what I'll do is then cut or sand the bottom of the wall pieces off a little bit. So how far over? Because the boat curves here a little bit, it is not a straight shot of planking. And anywhere that I end up without planking on the top deck, I will just cut some smaller pieces, because this is just this is walnut planking. From my experience, it is used on almost every wooden model. Use it for the flooring, the trams I'm working on from Lisbon tram I've got from Oakry uses it. The Madrid tram that I built years ago from Oakry has it. I think it's walnut. It's in Spanish, it is sapelli. It may or may not be walnut, but I believe it is walnut. Just dropped a styrene tube from earlier. Those styrene tubes come in handy for so many things. You got the right size, you can put a 3mm LED into it. And that's going to have to come down some, not a whole lot. It was kind of funny too, when I took this off on the other side, some of these, when I had this on here, some of these were literally not going to fit anyway, anyhow, because they were like a V shape going in there. Absolutely. Hit that like and subscribe. Thanks, Todd. Yeah, see, you can see there how it's sticking up. Well, you can't really. Hang on. I try not to make you guys seasick. You can see there how it's sticking up a little bit. And this one's actually going to be interesting because it's good here. It's not there. So I got to kind of try and lower that spot. And if anybody is interested, Oaktree and they're just one of their distributors here in the States is Model Expo, has just come out with the sister ship to this one. They came out with the what is it? It's Flying Dutchman. Couldn't remember that for a second. The Flying Dutchman they've come out with, and they're selling it with a light kit, a stand, a paint on Model Expo. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I gotta have that. I gotta have it to match this one. Because it is the same scale. And I actually think that it's going to be a little bit easier to build than this one because Oaktree tends to. The kits from Oaktree are almost to where a novice can build them pretty easily. I know because I was pretty much of a novice when I built the Madrid tram. Very important thing to remember when you're building a tram, when you put the once you paint the window or paint the body, do not. There's the issue. Do not use heat to dry the paint because it will do bad things to your windows. That's right. Mute me, Todd, please. Thanks, Todd.
You bet.
When I got done, I looked up and saw that Todd had turned my mic back on for me. I like this producer thing.
Just here to help.
Yep. So I wonder. So many things in the shop all the time. And this is actually pretty fresh. I don't think I've done any decals in it since I put the water in it. That should probably be enough. And the key thing is, hey, Mark, thanks. Appreciate it. Key thing is when you're bending wood sideways is you're trying to get the fibers to go past each other. Without breaking. If anybody has seen any of my videos on the 18th century longboat, it's got some serious bends that you got to make. And that's why it's kind of, it's really sad. I hit spots on models that are going to be really, really difficult. And I put them away and I stare at them for months.
Gordon would like to know why can't you cut an upside down V in the part just to bend it?
I was thinking about that. I wanted to see first if I could actually bend the wood. What I may end up doing, because it's good here. Right there is the only spot. Actually, with the wood wet like this, I think, yeah, until I let that loose. I think it might bend the way I need it to. And the other key thing is how tall is that? That's not too bad. Actually sanded that down some, but not enough yet. Because it's still sticking out pretty good. There. And I've got to try not to snap the wood while I'm taking this rubber band way too far back.
Eric says just take pliers to it, rip apart fibers of the wood. Ask me how he knows.
Yeah, I know how Eric goes. We've talked about his adventures with the Halcon. I'm about to apply heat, and I'm worried that the rubber band's going to melt. So I'm actually walking across the room to get my hairdryer. I hope whatever just unplugged wasn't important. Well, just to let Eric know that it wasn't that important. Goofy, the Christmas Goofy is still lit up. Okay. And I will tell you the 12 plug or 12 outlet plug from Harbor Freight. It's very nice to have. There
You get going, I'll mute you.
Okay.
So this is Buck hair drying his model. Look at it dry. Now he's bending wood. Look at him go. Don't burn yourself, Buck.
I told you that rubber band was probably going to pop. I melted that rubber band. Actually, no. I don't think it was the heat so much as the wood cut it. But
Eric says a silent movie.
yes. Look at that. That is very nice. I bent the wood. I bent it enough to where it'll work. So now, by the way, anybody's curious, this is just Elmer's glue in here. I bought a bunch of these a while back and keep 2 of them on the desk with Elmer's in them. I've thought about putting super glue and other types of things like that in here, but I'm like, I don't know how well it would work out. So that I'm going to let be while I work on, that was 1, so it should be 2 and 3. And by the way, those are the instructions that tell you how to do this. Very few words. And the cannon muzzle on the deck is bigger than that of the walnut panel. Please try to keep it centered. The 2, basically they're telling you try and keep those centered. Like this cannon is a little bit off. The Halicon had no words. The Halicon put up a fight and lost. But no matter how much we may hassle you about the Halicon, it came out fantastic looking. All you got to do is finish it. I don't think you ever finished it, Eric. And so I will point out something that I think is really funny. So all of them have the numbers. All the parts are identical. They're all upright, and all the rigging and sails are left. That's the most fun. They all have the numbers on them. They're all facing the other side, and they're all upside right. And I pointed this out yesterday, except the 11. The 11 is facing this side and upside down. You can see the first one right there. By the way, Eric, I figure you need to be done with the rigging and sails on the Halcon before I do the rigging and sails on this one. That's not good. These are actually these look like they hit the water and hairdryer stage. Speaking of which, let me move this water out of the way. Would be awesome to dump it on the keyboard. It's almost laughable. You mean that I'll finish the model? Is that what you're saying again, Eric? I finish models. You know that. So do you sometimes. If I'd have thought ahead on this and realized that these were going to be a pain like this, I would not have planked all the way to the edge. But they actually tell you to plank all the way to the edge. Actually cutting the wood underneath. That's okay.
Eric says he never finishes them. They just get repurposed. What do you suppose he means by that?
Boom. That's right. You haven't. I think we met you after Eric's initial channel went away. And unfortunately,
Yeah, it was about the same time because
yeah,
like right after I met you guys.
coincidence? I think not.
Yeah, it was me all along. I wanted him to have a channel.
So I'm going to cut this one off there. I have to just have to redo it afterwards. Yeah, he does repurpose, and he does really well with them. The Vietnam helicopter diorama was awesome. Or, well, was, because I don't think he's got it anymore. Oops. Well, that's still there. Stay. And this is why during the Friday and Sunday stream, I was moving back and forth between the Pearl and the Enterprise because I wanted to let the glue set. I'm hoping I can get these to stay. Oops. The walls here to actually set really well. Now his helicopter was really good. He was working on changing a pickup into a haunted diorama, which was looking really cool, and I don't think he has it anymore. That may need a little sanding after it's done. Oh yeah, that's going to need some work right there. Well, it looks really good back in the back here. That right there is going to be an issue. So I'm going to need to sand the bottom down. I'm going to have to sand it an angle and sand the back down to get it closer. First thing I'm going to do is sand the back, and we'll see what that does. Just make sure it's not sitting on it. No, it's not.
Eric says he's thinking of repurposing the ATST from last year's speed build.
But you already did. Well, no, you didn't. You just killed Chewbacca with it. That is really cool. Although, that's the thing too, is we've got to do a speed build again this year. And I'm still contemplating what I'm going to do. I'm still not going to do something like a Bandai or something like that should be easy. Matter of fact, what I think.
He says Chewie deserved it.
Well, yeah, he did. He must have seen the ATST coming. But, I'm a glutton for punishment. That's probably going to be my speed build at the end of the year. And if anybody's curious what we're talking about with speed builds, last year, a group of us decided, that odd time of the year between Christmas and New Year's, that we would all build some model in that time frame. And me, of course, not being very smart, I decided to do an A380, and it came out damn good. Let me see. Just curious. Somebody, you guys probably didn't hear it. I did. Ah, Eric just Eric posted a picture of his ATST from last year, and just because, let's see, should be there. That's the ATST he did last year, and you can't see it real well, but underneath the right foot of the ATST is Chewbacca.
What did poor Chewie ever do to Eric?
He showed up. That's the thing about Eric. He will kind of run down his abilities with dioramas, but he is fantastic at just picturing something in his mind and then doing it.
I'm very impressed with his rust bucket. That looks fantastic.
Yes, love the rust bucket. And the disco prize, that's really cool too. And only Eric could apply 24 volts to a bunch of LEDs and get away with it. You know, I just had a thought, had an epiphany. I know what happened to Chewie. He said something, or somebody said something else to Han, and Chewie started laughing. And so Han pushed him out in front of the ATST, said, "Laugh it up now, fuzzball."
Blue Street Customs here. How are you guys doing tonight? I'm doing good. Buck sounds like he's doing good, right, Buck?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Having a good time. I actually, as much as I tend to back away from the wooden model, and get frustrated and walk away for a while, I actually love working in wood. So let me show you. Let me see. Can I move this without? And of course, the clamp is blocking the light. So I'm trying to get this part moved forward a little bit more. Very close to where I want it. So I'm going to get noisy again. It's getting there, but not quite. Silent movie, the sequel. Would you rather? No, it's a trilogy. Yeah, all the best movies come in trilogies, Eric. You know that. Think that's got it, except for I need to shave the bottom down here just a hair more. I have to say too, Eric, that at least my movies never cut off in the middle. Not that somebody had their stream crash in the middle of a game today. So close. Could be completely wrong. That's going to have to be good. It's starting to get too short. So double check this other one. The bend is not working, staying as well as I would like. Then I have to be some fill in the top of this one. That's okay. Did I let it sit too long? No. What'll sometimes happen with these things is the glue will dry in the tube, which then I have to take a paper clip to it and clean it out. And that takes a while and it's a little bit messy. Actually, with this, it's me having sanded this, or it was laser cut, that may have opened up the fibers, and this actually may make a stronger bond than in some other places. Messy, messy, messy. That one's not even being held by the clamp. There is actually a gap at this point, right here in the middle. Wow, and there's a gap back here in the back as well. That's probably why it's not staying. Which means this is going to have to dry, and I'm going to have to actually add glue a couple of times to it. So while that's drying, I need to figure out something else to work on. So, and this, what the whole reason for this is to get to the point where I can actually lay the thing over on its back and do the planking. It's going to be planked the same. These gaps are going to be left open. And then from here down to the bottom, it's going to be planked. But I was looking actually the other day. I heard you, Todd. You were about to say something. Go ahead.
I was going to say from a third-person observer, and while that glue is drying, you know what I'd love is for somebody that was never getting into this, like me, what would be a really good starting tool set for working with wooden builds, like a wooden model, a wooden ship model? What would be like a great starter kit of tools?
Honestly, for the most part, and I'm going to put this up here on the stand. Get it out of the way. For the most part, most of your tools that you use on plastic models would probably do you well. I mean, obviously an X-Acto knife, and X-Acto with an 11 blade, thicker handle than this because you might end up carving. Where is it? Well, like this. This would be a good handle to have for that. Halcon, yes. And you don't have to have, just happen to have a set. You don't have to have a large set of files. These will work. Halcon is I think is a good entry build. And I really think Model Expo, actually, it's right there. Model Expo used to sell a kit, a 18th century, or they still sell the 18th century longboat, but it used to come with a basic tool set. Let me switch cameras because this is actually a perfect basic tool set for a wooden build. Look at that. It even focused. So, like I said, it's truly basically the same tools you would use for plastic models. One thing that a lot of people don't have.
Oh, is that a miter block?
That's exactly what it is. It's a miter box.
That is a
fantastic
fantastic kit.
It is. This was, when they sold it, was, I want to say, like a $60 kit. But they no longer sell this kit with the ship model or the boat model. I've actually never used any of these tools. It was sitting in the box with the longboat. They did not quite get that to round. Okay, it will go. And miter boxes are really nice to have. You know, it just like any other working around the house. And I'll be honest, I actually use my hobby miter box. This is one of 3 of them I have. I use my hobby miter boxes to cut things around the house as I need it. This is just a shim. I don't think you'll ever need something like this. You know, a wedge. Like I said, number 11 X-Acto blades. Pin vise, very important to have. If you don't know what a pin vise is, it's a hand drill, basically. And inside here you have 2 chucks. So they're actually reversible. So you end up with 4 chucks to fit just about every drill bit you'll ever need. Pin vise. Where did it come from? Oh, here. I think. No, that's where the sanding block is. You don't have to have a sanding block. I think I just figured out what that wedge is for. It's to hold the sandpaper in here. You don't have to have a sanding block. It is helpful.
Do you have one of those? And they have like a, what is it? Like a pin pusher when you're doing the planking that pushes the little nails in. I've heard about them.
I do.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
And if you, when I was, was it on the Pearl? I used it recently. What it's for, what you do with it is that end right there. You put the nail into, or they're actually pins, they're very small, but you put the pin in there, you put it against the surface, and then you push until it'll seat the nail all the way down. There's a little rod in there that pushes it down inside.
Do you use that tool, or do you
I
just
do.
hammer them in by hand? Oh, okay.
I use that tool, and a lot of times what I'll do is I'll push them in partially with that, and then I'll use my baby ball peen. I wonder. It looks like this unscrews. Things I'm noticing about tools I've had for a while. It does unscrew, but I don't think it's supposed to. Haven't used chisel blades before, but this also came with chisel blades. What the chisel blades are more for is a instead of a plank on bulkhead or plank on frame, which I'm doing a plank on bulkhead right now. There's another one. I'm doing a plank on frame, and I can actually show you. Let me get the longboat, because the longboat starts out as plank on bulkhead and then turns into plank on frame.
Donnie just showed up.
Donnie, what's up? I actually started late, Donnie. So this would be a plank on bulkhead if it was covered, and if they wasn't designed for these to come out. A plank on bulkhead is where you've got the bulkheads that run across. You got your frame here on the bottom that they set into, and then you plank right across the bulkheads. Hence the name. Plank on frame, which is what the Pearl is and what this will become. I don't know if I can get the angle to where you guys can actually see it. In here, there are laser cut. There are cuts. They're laser cut that run from here to here down to the bottom. And what it's for is that you cut this out, and then snap the rest of this out, and it becomes plank on frame, to where the rowboat is actually going to look like a rowboat. But pin vise, I will say, a pin vise with some drill bits is a must for any kind of modeling. Put that back. That's where the pin vise has to be, right there, along with the drill bits. And this is a very small sampling of drill bits. I want to say, what is it? There's about 6 bits in there. Let's see, where's the, oh, it's the drawer underneath the clamps. It was cheap, so I bought it. I have all kinds of drill bits. If you can afford to pay for the cost for the CNC bits, these are really awesome. But the really small ones, like this one, I don't think I've ever used since actually the end of it snapped off. But they are really great, and they're big enough around that you can grab them with your fingers to drill holes.
You have to be really delicate with those. I've broken a few.
Yeah, same here. Like I said, you got your X-Acto blades. Actually, this is not. Oh, you know what that is? That's a hole starter.
It's basically just a spike.
Yeah, it's just a spike. And what you would do with that is you'd stick it in the, you know, if you weren't going to use the pin pusher, if you didn't have one of these, let's see, not quite a piece of scrap, but I can poke a hole in it anyway. If you didn't have one of these, what you'd do is you'd just actually sank in there, push it down, and it's not going to focus. Hang on, let me try this camera. Actually, you know what? I think that's the camera. Nope, wrong one. That's the camera because that camera has a light. So you can see the little hole that I made right there. That little hole will let you put the nail in there and actually drive it with either a regular hammer or a baby hammer like I have.
So is it a good recommendation to start all the holes before you add nails?
If you have a pin pusher, you don't have to. If you don't have a pin pusher, definitely.
Gotcha.
Okay, switch to this is also invaluable. Dremels are good. Battery operated ones are even better. What's in here? More various blades, not just the number 11. These over here, I believe, these are all the chisel and carving blades. Oh yeah, very important for any model building. You need tweezers. Tweezers and a nice pair of snips. I will tell you the blue ones that I use, Play-Doh or Placto. A lot of people use these. A lot of people sell them on their quote unquote Amazon store. Look for them not just on Amazon, because these are like $5 a piece on Amazon. Or you can get the exact same ones. I don't know if they're the exact same ones. I don't know if they're the actual brand name or not. But I bought 6 of them for like $12 on eBay. Steve
is here.
Welcome.
Welcome, Steve.
And of course, and this is not going to stay in there. This does come with a couple of little files. But a good set of needle files is a must. And usually, to be honest, Todd, usually you're going to end up with 5, 6 more sets of the needle files because they break or, they're cheap.
Yeah, I use them all the time. I mean, all the time. And I just want to let whoever's watching just join that we're actually, while he's waiting for some glue to dry on the Black Pearl, we're going over the tools recommended to build a wooden ship.
Recommended by me.
by Buck himself.
Yeah. I mean, I am by no means an expert at wooden models.
You have more experience than I do.
Yeah, and I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
Johnny says he likes the micro marks for nippers.
Yeah, I I have not found that any one brand is any better than the other. There they are. If you treat them nicely, they'll last forever. These are 9 or 10 years old. We're HDM and we approve this message. The only reason I replaced these was because the spring that belongs in here goes in that spot there, snapped one day and just, I don't know if it snapped or if it just shut off, but it was gone. And so I'm like, for a while I used them having to push them open and I was like, this sucks. So I bought another one. And then I came across these and bought them. So I was actually looking a little bit further ahead. Oh, this is nice. This is nice. This is where I'm actually going to start cutting some windows. That's the wall to the captain's cabin. Oh, by the way, I will tell you, this drawer of clamps is flipping heavy. And it is well above the weight rating of the drawer I've got it in.
Donnie thinks the single-bladed cutters are awesome. He never thought there was a difference between truck and single blades for micro marks. I agree with him. The ones I use are from Amazon, but they're single blade, and it's very noticeable.
So are they razor blades or?
I think he means that the tip of the actual razor, where when you're on the nippers, the actual blade is straight on one side and then angled on the other, and versus two that have come together as two angled blades, so they slice like scissors, right?
Yeah. Well, and what was my wife for her stained glass? She has a tool that I steal every now and then, if I can get away with it. That it uses a box cutter razor blade to cut. Those are nice for cutting wood.
Donnie, we love you, Donnie.
Here's some other nifty little toys for woodwork, for working with logs. They're not must-haves, but they do come in handy. Because I will tell you right now, I'm going to start working on that wall because I'm not going to go back and mess with those parts that are glued. So this one here, the chopper, was the first one I came across. And what it is really good for is when you find something, you're going to be cutting multiple things. Instead of using an X-Acto blade or something like an X-Acto knife or something like that, you set it. I need a bunch of wood strips 2 inches long. You just sit here and cut it like that.
Okay, that is really cool.
And you can make the same size, and it has multiple angles. You got your 30 degree, you got your 90 degree, 45, and 60. I will tell you, it is a cool tool to have. It's not something I use very often. And the blade in it.
Why is that? It looks so functional.
I never use it because I don't know.
It just seems like,
to be honest.
Can it be that good if you never use it?
The thing about it is the Chopper 2, which this is the original Chopper. The Chopper 2 is better because it's about this long. You know, that's the thing is very rarely do I have something that's about 2 inches long that I need to cut. You know, if eventually I will get the bigger one, this one is kind of cool because this one, if you're cutting styrene or strips or wood, whatever you're cutting, you set this to whatever size you need to cut. You move the arm here, if I can get it there. So like if I was cutting styrene and I need a bunch of pieces the same size. So like that, you know, slide the styrene in under here. Not actually going to cut the paper, but just slide it up, slide it in under here. You push down and hold on this thing, and you take the razor blade and just cut through it. What that does is it gives you larger pieces exactly the same size. These are all tools that I've picked up over the years because I thought I might use them someday.
And do you use them? Like
not very often.
What do you end up using? I mean, you have both those things, but you don't use them. What do you end up using to cut like planks?
Well, the planks, I usually, what I'll do is, like when I'm laying the planks, if I was going to lay a bunch of planks on here, I would lay them out and I would cut them just by eye. Just using a razor blade, or not a razor blade. Usually I use the chisel blade. Although you're right, I should use the chopper. And this is just a sanding block thing. You can set the angle. Actually, I think this goes the other way around. You know, like if you're sanding for a 45-degree angle, wow, that's the problem with having plastic. But you just set it up against here and sand it. It came with this, and what I used instead, instead of going and finding their stuff, I've gone out and bought this. This is actually my second box of this stuff. Very nice to have. It's got 150 to 600 grit. And these are the toys that, I bought them. I don't use them very often. I should. And I just noticed this one actually has to get replaced because it's just MDF and it got wet. And so it's bubbled up there. Unfortunately. I will tell you too, Todd, this is handy to have when you're building a big ship. Somewhere to store stuff.
Is it kind of like the part works where you're building things and then you put things aside for a while and come back to them?
Usually not. Usually, you're building right along, but you get a stack of wood. You get, like with the Black Pearl, I got a stack of probably 30 sheets of wood. And that takes up quite a bit of space. And then stuff starts falling off and everything. So it's nice to have something to put it in so that you don't have stuff disappearing. And I'm looking for, let's see, H9. let me double check. That could be it. That's the problem. Is that could be 6, that could be 9. So let me go back to the. These are invaluable. When they give you a listing, or actually pictures of what your parts should look like. There's H. Oh no, H9 is. Double check. No, that's not H9. It does not say how thick it's supposed to go. I actually knew I was going to probably go after this. So, you know, being the smart guy that I am, I did figure it out.
Are you looking for that wall panel?
Yeah, this right here.
Gotcha. Looking forward to see how that goes together.
Well, I'll tell you right now, these are all just wood strip. Six. This is going to be one of those times when I look at it and I'm like, that part isn't here. It doesn't belong to this kid. That's the problem with working on a kit this long, is that you forget where you put things. By the way, at the tops of those walls on the captain's cabin, that's where these are going to go. I need to leave them up so I don't misplace them. Not frustrated yet. I'm just like, where the heck are they? Figured by now I've put Eric to sleep. What do you think?
It doesn't take much, so probably.
Yeah.
His feet are up, holding a drink.
A Coke. No, actually coffee.
Coffee House, Colta Catriina, Theater,
Echo,
Robusta
shut
Coffee,
up.
Prince Cafe Turca, and others.
Echo, shut up. I'm really kind of perplexed. Because that part should be there. And this is where the fact that I ended up with one of these with a knockoff of a Chinese kit could be helpful. Ah, those were actually the lower deck. That would kind of suck if I had to build that thing from scratch.
Well, and you should have 2 of them, right? You said you have 2 of these kits, basically.
Right, and that's what I'm looking through is the knockoff kit right now.
Oh, that kind of looked like it, didn't it?
That is it.
Ah, there you go.
Now I'm going to go back, since I now know that the size of the actual sheet. I'm going to go back and see if I can find the one, because I think this is a little bit thinner than it should be. Although I do have to say, yeah, I just thought of something. I do not know.
Donnie says he likes having me helping as a producer. We should start giving him 10% of the profit from our streams. 10% of
Absolutely.
is 0. I'll take it.
So I'm looking because I also had the grates. I know I didn't clean up the room that much. I had the grates for the these for that next deck, and I don't see them.
You're right, Donnie. We got to start somewhere. You got to start with 0 subscribers.
Okay, so I found the sheet.
Oh, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, considering the part's not there.
Yeah. Maybe it's in your box. You know, your screw box organizer. Fell out, perhaps?
No, I don't think it fell out. I just saw something else I could work on, and I'm like, no. What is it? The ladder. The second ladder.
Donnie says never clean your work area. That's when things disappear.
Yep, that's absolutely when things go away. Where the heck? This back over here, just in case. I'm here. Okay. I don't know if to say it's frustrating or disheartening. I have everything right here, and I'm throwing stuff on the floor now. Just double check, because I have so many little drawers. No. Okay, I guess this is going to become the actual part that I use. It's going to have to.
Is that just a backing plank? Like, do all the details fit to the front of it? So really, if it's not the
It really, it really doesn't matter, except, I mean, the width is the same. The only difference is Sapelli versus walnut. And maybe. But what bothers me is, like I said, the grates for that one spot. Where the heck did it go? I know it's in here somewhere. What's going to be funny is when it turns out that it's actually with the Lisbon tram. Okay.
Donnie says you just need to stain it. Just stain it.
Yeah. Or it's going to be inside anyway, so paint it black. Okay. Now you're not going to be able to see it. It's not going to focus well enough. There are little spots where the wood was not burned all the way through. There it is. There's the scalpel. And the funny thing is this is actually my wife's boat. I just said it was your boat.
Uh-oh. We woke up. We woke the Eric up.
Eric, what'd you do with all my stuff? So let me get this. Actually, maybe you can see it on this side. Let me switch to this camera. Donnie has it. I don't think Donnie has it. Hopefully. Yeah, after our discussion yesterday, I have decided that 922 is going back. So you can actually, if I take my hand out of there, come on, you were just focused. This is actually the 615. You can just about see it right here, where those burn marks are, is where the wood, there we go, that's better, where the wood is still intact. Now, I'll bet you the one from the actual kit, the doors are split. The one that I'm missing. Here we go. Is it going to focus? Yay! Okay, hang on. Nope, stop. Not playing nice. Try this again. If I have to, I'll stay on the other camera. That's better. Yeah, the 922 is going back. The 920, when Donnie did his thing yesterday, worked so nicely.
Yeah, I just picked up a second 920. So I'm going to do some testing in the other room in the lab. But from what I've seen, it looks like the 920 just works better.
Yeah. Well, and the other one, the 615, the one I've got to my right, works really well too. It's just not quite as good. And when I was looking last night, I discovered that the 922, and I was thinking, 922 it's newer, whole 9 yards, should be a better camera. No, it's been on the market for like 10 years. Or not the 922, the 920. So I don't think. The window frame, you have to polish it on both sides to actually give it a sill. And a lot of times you don't have to, but I always sand all the edges. I want it to feel smooth to my finger. Just make sure that's going to fit. Just making sure it's not going to cause me other issues. Yeah, I read that, Tony. What's funny is my mouse has started acting up a little bit too. So H9, Q4. So while I am losing my mind tonight. Oh, that's what I did. I had moved this over on top and didn't see where the rest of it was. So those are Q4. Okay. I do need this part. And I will be honest, I don't know, but I have a feeling that if I were to reach out to ZHL and say, yeah, I just discovered I'm missing this part. Can I pay postage? They would probably ship it to me. I've had good dealings with them, and I've heard that other people have had really good dealings with them as well. Just for giggles, let me look in the box where these are. And this one, actually, the door is cut in half. I like that one better. Are you still there, Todd?
Yeah, did you find the one you were supposed to?
Yeah.
Oh.
And see, actually, this one doesn't need to be planked.
Even better.
It already. Well, here's where it gets interesting with those is that when they're pre-done like that. Oh, by the way, these windowsills are the original for the kit. When it's pre-done like that, the lower deck was. it may say, I'll have to look, because what it had me do for the lower deck was actually take a knife and cut those deeper. Like to hear that sound. That means that it went through the wood. And that right there is why I'm happy to have this one, because the doors are pre-cut. This one is not. Hinges. Hinges are not so much fun.
Like real hinges?
Like real hinges.
Oh, how often are you going to open and close that door?
Probably not very often.
But at least
On
they're there.
the, yeah, well, on the lower deck, I did the hinges. I had them just free swing. These, because I can leave them that way and not have them, not going to, once this is on the ship, I'm not going to turn it over. The ones on the lower deck, I have to turn it over to plank the bottom. So I actually reached in there with the with my pin vise with super glue and glued them so that they won't swing, because I had to rehang one of them when the floor was on. That is not very much fun. So I've got the windows. Oh, that's nice. That is really nice and going to be a royal pain in the butt. Because we have these little windows, or the window sills. We have the door. And then part P7, which is probably in this same stuff.
Donnie says, or Eric says, opening the door post rigging would be a disastrous nightmare.
It would. I have never seen where this is supposed to go. It looks like it would be one of the spots for the cannons. Hey, speaking of cannons, has a few. Oh yeah. If I'm not mistaken, Eric will recognize these. Those are wooden cannons, I think. They have to sand round so that you can actually have a cannon.
You use like third-party cannons, right?
No, actually, I think it's just part of the basic kit. I got the actual metal cannons that these cannons came with it, and I don't think it was part of the third what they call the third pole. I think those are actually they were with the kit. They're actually an original piece of the kit. What I think it is that they actually have multiple different ways that you can do this. Boiler Dan did it as a with the sides all closed up. I don't know whether he had the metal cannons or not. Oh, wait. You know what?
Eric firmly believes the wooden cannons suck.
Yeah. I just realized what those are. I don't remember what they're called, but those are going to be where the ropes for the sails are going to tie off. Those could suck too. I'm looking for part P7. First, I'm looking for sheet P.
Eric thinks they're called belay pins.
Yes.
And Gordon says, screw that up for a game of coconuts. So you actually have to take square pieces of wood and sand them round to make cannons?
In some kits. I don't think so much in this one.
I would think they would at least start with a dowel or something like that, you know?
Some of them don't. I'm actually thinking what I'm going to end up doing is just finding parts, getting them all together, and then it'll be for the Friday stream. So these, and this is where the sides I was working on earlier came off of. These are the interior of the window frames. And somewhere I have some clear sheet plastic. And how this is going to work is I'm going to cut them to fit, and I'm going to do the best I can to get them exactly to fit these little frames. Matter of fact, there's my cutting template. I'm wondering if these are going to fit. Okay, nope. So what I was wondering is if these would fit on, these are going to fit directly in here. If I didn't sand them so they're not going in as easily as they could. They're not dropping in. If these would fit to where I could sandwich the plastic between the outer frame and the inner, I would put the plastic in here between them. But having done this enough, I've cut enough of these plastic windows to fit the odd shaped holes like these. And I have realized a smart man would instead just cut a piece of plastic to fit this area back here. And I'll just glue it, glue it to the back of the wood here. It's not going to be visible. It's going to be a lot better that way. And then once the plastic is in there, I'll just glue these in on top of it.
I like your idea better.
Yeah. Well, I've done that. On the Lisbon tram, I keep coming close to knocking the windows out because I cut them the right size. On the Madrid tram, I cut them, like I just said, and, when they're bigger around than that, like that, they fit better. If you really look inside through the windows and see it, you can see that the glazing is not perfectly in there, but I would rather have something that's going to be functional and look good than have something that's going to fall out because I bumped it wrong. Okay. So, finishing up the, well, I'll finish up probably between, well, maybe between now and Friday, I'll finish up the side of the ship. But this is where we're going to start next stream. I will build this thing. I'll do the planking over the weekend, or I'll start the planking. The planking's going to take a long time. It's going to be both Friday and Sunday. But it's really pretty ingenious how they did the hinges. This one I like is a little bit better because what I'm going to do is, let's see. Not that one. There's a lot of photo etch with this thing. Oh, Donnie will appreciate this. And actually, I just found some hinges. Donnie will appreciate this. These are the SMDs that the kit came with. And I said, no. And these, I'll have to look and see. I'll have to read them and see what they are the resistors that the kit came with. This is what I was looking for right here. And as a matter of fact, that is 2 full hinges. I'm going to switch the cameras. I'm going to have to take it out of the plastic. The reflection is going to play merry havoc. And see, that's the thing, is 615 is not quite as good as the 920. So this is the wall side of the hinge, and this is the door side of the hinge. You take this little tail here, and you wrap it around the nail. Same with this side, except for you take the larger side of the tail, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, you take the larger side of the tail, this larger tail. The small part over here, you glue to the wall, and then you wrap this part around the nail. This part you glue to the door, and you wrap the little part around the nail, and then you drop the nail through to actually make it into a working hinge. These are the nails. And that right here is what it ends up looking like. That is flipping insane.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. I mean, it looks good, but are you going to use it or are you going to see it?
You will see it because this is on the top deck.
Gotcha. Donnie's giving you a hard time. He says, are you afraid of a little SMDs?
I am. I mean, Donnie, those aren't just any little SMDs. Those are the ones that I showed you before. Those little SMDs, what they say you're supposed to do with those is you grab them, and I will say I did try. You grab them with this little bitty hook here. Once it's grabbed in there, you then solder on it. So Donnie said he takes all of 5 minutes. So are you going to post the fix on Discord? Because if it fixes it and it makes it work right all the time, then I'll keep the second 922 instead of returning it and getting a 920. On the other hand, if I return it and get a 920, then I don't have to rename it. Okay, so that one. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a stream. Put some pics on Discord. Awesome. I'm going to call it a stream. Hang on a second. Echo, turn on patio. Much better. Going to call it a stream. Had a good time tonight. Thank you very much, Todd. It is really awesome having a producer there in the background so you don't have to worry about the chat and all that.
You bet.
And especially not having to go over here, find the microphone, turn the microphone off, run the Dremel, and then find the microphone again, turn it back on. So really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I am getting way more back into wooden models. It's been a while. I left the Black Pearl for a while. I'm back with her. She's, you can see there's some pieces that are not the easiest to do. Have a great one, Gordon. There are some parts that are not really easy. Wow, now this one's having focus issues. There, better. But there's some parts that are being difficult, but it's well worth it. And even though those two sides are not going to match perfectly, nobody but me is going to know it. Wooden models, even more so. You're the only one who knows your mistakes are there. Appreciate you stopping by. Like and subscribe. Only got my information in the description tonight. Although I do have the HTM Facebook and YouTube. Come on over, join us. We'll be glad to have you. Discord's there, and we'll see you on Friday night. Might actually do might do some more streaming. Might do some videos more this week because I have a 4-day weekend coming up. So I'm going to work on the Pearl a lot. Have a great evening. Have a great day tomorrow. Take care of yourselves out there. Take care of whatever you need to do, and we'll catch you later.